Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to our listeners. Hello to everyone in the SCD community across the world. Welcome to this edition of Sickle Cell Role Models and Mentors. And today we have as guest Ms Tata Sonita Bonkar. She is a SCD advocacy model from Cameroon. Can you please tell us who really is Sonita and any other work you're doing, if there's any recognitions we should know?
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I am Tata Sonita Bonkar. I'm an award-winning advocacy model. I'm a sickle cell warrior, an advocate. I am a development communicator, a social worker, and founder of Advocacy Models. And I am an actor, I would say.
Wow.
I am a columnist for Soldiers Be magazine. I do a lot of volunteerism in other aspects of life. I am an ambassador, event ambassador, like Atogo Fashion Festival ambassador, and Sunrise Art and Cultural Festival ambassador here in Bamenda, Cameroon.
So you just got nominated as third runner-up in the Miss Cameroon Universal Beauty pageant. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how was the experience like for you, especially with your experience with sickle cell disease?
Well, it was interesting. It was challenging, but then I went through. I remember before the contest, we had a lot of things we had to prepare. And during that period, it also happened that I was in the hospital for 1 month
Oh,
with my kid brother, who is also a sickle cell patient. He was operated upon for priapism. And it was really hard on me. A lot was going on. Within the period, I also got into crisis. It was not long when I left the hospital, so I was at a very low place. But with all of this, I just got inspired. Like, this is sickle cell drawing me back. My project for this contest is sickle cell, so it gave me that fuel to enhance my advocacy. I was the highest contestant, the highest models with the highest number of projects that I carried out because of how sickle cell was dealing with me at that time. So it instead made me to want to just talk to anybody that cared to listen or not. Wherever I just see people, any event, I wanted to talk about sickle cell and what I was going through myself and my kid brother at the time. So preparing for the contest was really, really, really difficult. It was really challenging. Health wise, I was not that strong. But then I had to go, and while there, I could do the things that I could do. You know, we had a lot of activities, physical activities, sporting activities, social activities. I could do the things that I could do, but still trying to show up and participate because I know that this is a contest at the end of the day, and they will not really care if you have sickle cell, you have whatever. You just need to show up. And I struggled, and it was successful.
so you decided to carry the sickle cell disease message as your key message during the competition. Why
Mhm.
that decision? And would you say your voice was heard?
Yeah, I carried the sickle cell message, and I would say that my voice was heard. The decision is that I'm living with sickle cell, and since 2020, when I participated in Miss Sante, Miss Health Cameroon, sickle cell has always been my project for any modeling platform, for any modeling contest that I go or that I participate in. And this is because it is my life, and I feel like the platform is good. Is it has an audience, it has people who are looking up to you, people who follow you, people who want to hear your message aside from the beauty what you carry. And for me, it's sickle cell. Like, there is a lot to sickle cell. I strongly believe that if we want to make change in any way when it concerns sickle cell, we should look at prevention, and there is no prevention without awareness. So I keep carrying the message to different platforms. I believe that my voice was heard because this was a different platform with new people, maybe people who have never heard about sickle cell, from the organizers to the contestants to the different sponsors of the event that we were carried to, and to those people who attended the event that night when we were being asked to pitch our projects. And even before the night, we had a one-on-one interview sessions with the organizers to talk about our project. And I believe during all these processes, my voice was heard, and there was at least one person that heard about sickle cell, and that they will be uh, making a life-changing decision, either to know their genotype or to make informed decisions, and so on.
So, with your crown and your title, would you still carry the SCD message if or whenever you're called to represent your country in international beauty pageants?
Yes, of course, I will do that. Sickle cell, I've decided that it'll be a life project. It'll be a life project. I Even as I look forward to maybe in future going for Miss Cameroon, that will still be my project. Whatever platform, whatever modeling contest, sickle cell will be my project. Like, I will carry it to the international stages. It's not a Cameroon problem. It's not a Bamenda problem. Sickle cell is a global health challenge, and people need to be aware of its complications. They need to be aware of what it is. They need to be aware of what the survivors, what the warriors are going through. People just need to know, so that at the end of the day, we see how we can manage with those who are already living with sickle cell, and we see how, in a way, work towards eradicating sickle cell from the community. So yeah, in the international pageant, I will still carry sickle cell as my project.
So, if you were, let's say, running for Miss Universe, and you had one principal message that you would want to give to the world's leaders who are attending, or policy leaders who are attending at that event, of all the other messages concerning sickle cell disease, what would be your key message to them?
Well, I just wish among the leaders were my leaders, because when I really look critically, there is a survivor gap. There is a gap between, different places, different policies, and so on. I just wish among the leaders were my leaders that would really hear these messages, or among those leaders, I would just want to tell them that they should try to maybe create a platform of world leaders where they try to monitor that there is equal access to information, healthcare, research, like everything is equal at every level to every countries for sickle cell disease, because then, if I'm sure I'm talking just to my leaders, the message should be different. But now, to world leaders, each country has its own problem when it concerns sickle cell disease. But then I'll always try to shine the light on sickle cell from based from my where I am coming from, like to let people know exactly what it is, to encourage and beg on them to, look on us more, because I feel like they are distracted with other diseases. I will not say it's not important, but then, in as much as they give more priority to those other things, they should also look at these because it is a chronic disease, it is lifelong, it is deadly, it is threatening, it is causing a lot of problems, and it also needs that much attention. So I would just want them to look more on us and intervene more when it concerns sickle cell disease.
As a patient, would you say the current way that a care is provided for people living with sickle cell disease in Cameroon is enough to deal with sickle cell disease, in be it in the short term, medium, or long term?
Maybe in the short term, yeah. In the medium, maybe below average, but long term, no, 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 no. We are not doing much, especially here in Bamenda, Cameroon. As a patient, I see a lot of lapses. I see a lot of gaps. I see that they are still behind, and that will not help us as patients. You know, the healthcare system, they are still behaving as though they are still struggling to understand what SCD is, in essence. They are still behaving as though it does not really, really matter like that. Like it is not a call for concern, or it is something that any general practitioner can just handle. They don't treat it with that much care as I would want them to look at it. There is no research, there is no, you don't see any effort that is being put in place. You go today, you meet Dr. Z, Dr. Z says this, you meet Dr. D, the next time he says this. Nothing is consistent. The care they are giving is close to terrible at the moment, and there is much work to be done. If they continue like this, it'll be so risky for the patients in the long term.
What if you were to identify key gaps? What would you say? Is it just infrastructure, access to medication, or the medical staff itself is not trained, or there's just all of it combined?
It's a combination of a lot. The medical practitioners, starting with them, they are not trained. They are not even aware of the whole situation. I'll give an example. Like I said, before the contest, I was in the hospital with my kid bro who had a complication of sickle cell, priapism, and had to undergo a surgical emergency. Just between that period, as he went to consult in the emergency, he was like, "This is what is wrong with me." And those nurses, the people who were there, were laughing. He kept on insisting, like, this is a complication in sickle cell. This is how it manifests, and this is what's up. These people do not even know what it is. When a patient presents in front of you and they're like, okay, this is their health condition, it is true that, yeah, the complications can be very broad, and you as a medic, you don't know everything about it. But when they keep insisting, they're in pain and they're trying to make a point, you are stigmatizing, you are making them to feel bad. You see, the health practitioners are not even trained up to the level where they decided that they were going to operate. Even the people operating, I'm very sure that they can count the number of times they've had such cases. And it was, I would say, it was like an experiment to them, because they did the first surgery, it failed, and it was because of their mistake. They did the second surgery, it failed, and it was because of their mistake. They keep using human beings like what? Like an experiment, because there is not enough. They don't even know exactly what they are doing. They don't do research that much. They're not too versed with the complication. It is not as if it's their specialty. They just take it like, well, I'm a general practitioner. Maybe this one in this institution, we look at this person like the person is bigger in this, so they can handle this. It's not even as if, aside from that's really the person's interest. So from the medical practitioners, there is much work to be done. They need to firstly have the interest in sickle cell disease. Let's not be forced. Secondly, they need to do research. They need to know, this is my field. I want to work with this particular type of patients. And I need to know more about them, how to manage them from this stage to this stage, and the different types of crisis with the different complications that comes about. But that is not done. So I have a problem with the medics, and I think that is one of the most important gaps. Secondly, access to information, access to healthcare, the whole leadership, the whole government. I think it's even starting from the government to these medical practitioners. Because if the government were even looking at it with that eye of concern, these people in on the field, they will know that it's a call for concern and will give more attention to it. So there are a lot of gaps, and I believe it should not even be like that.
The Northwest region where you are based and Southwest region has been going through a lot of political tension with the ongoing Anglophone crisis that started way back in 2016. Now, how easy is it for you as a person living with sickle cell disease to access medication or healthcare in this current crisis situation?
Mhm. It's been difficult. It's been very difficult. You know, there are problems. They're in the midst of problems. You still have your own very health challenge that it makes it hell for you. I remember there are so many times I've had a crisis, myself, my kid brother, in the night. Then you know there is this curfew thing, no bikes, no this, either there are risks of kidnap. Like the situation is terrible, or maybe there are gunshots, you're in crisis, you need to be taken to the hospital and so on. Now the time I was there, they carried my kid brother on the back. So we had to trek to this local clinic in the quarter. Reaching there, I don't know if it was because of security issues, knocking the door, they were not opening, knocking, we stood there like for how many minutes with somebody in crisis on the back. Though there were no bikes. It's either you know somebody who owns a bike, you're trying to call them, and either it does not go through, they will not pick, it's late, of course, or they tell you that they're not working at that time, and a lot more. So it's been very, 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 very challenging to access health institutions in times of crisis, especially when it comes without knocking and it comes at a very odd hour. It's been very, very challenging. And most times, like what happened, you go to that local center, maybe after 30 minutes, they happen to open the door. And because it's a local center, they really don't know exactly what to give you. And your situation keeps getting worse. Before you now maybe wait till morning and you go to where you're supposed to go to, it's either they are rushing you to transfuse or rushing to put on oxygen support and so on. Situations get bad. So that's the experience I've had in this crisis with our health crisis, and it has really been challenging. For the drugs are there, but not every institution will have it per se. And I will not say maybe the crisis has affected that because, yeah, we've looked for a different place where we can always get our drugs. But then there are people in the suburbs, there are other warriors in the suburbs where there is no way for them. Most times they have to refuel, but they have blocked roads. It's maybe after like weeks that they have to open for them to go to the hospital to go for checkup or have a refuel. And you see that can enhance crisis and trigger other complications. So it has not been easy living in this zone with our condition.
Now, you mentioned that having drugs, you can have drugs. So what drugs are you talking about? Is there ease of access to get maybe hydroxyurea or painkillers or folic acid or antibiotics? Are all of those available or is just one or a few?
Well, folic acid is almost everywhere. The problem now is when maybe you're placed on hydroxyurea, it becomes very technical. Hydroxyurea is very expensive. We see it like, it's like a goal. It's very difficult to get. I mean, most warriors here, they struggle to get it. Though some institutions are like, okay, we give at a discount, but even at that discount, it's really difficult for some people to get it. Or there are times when you move from one pharmacy to the other and it's difficult. They'll tell you they don't have that drug. And it's either you just stay like that, or when you can get it, you get it. And when you're unable to get it, there's nothing you can do. You just stay like that. So there are times when hydroxyurea is extremely scarce. You go to one place, you're referred to go to the other, and so on. And there are times for other warriors, especially, is even when it's available, they don't have the means to afford.
Now, what about painkillers? Is it easy to get that?
It now depends the type of painkillers. I think painkillers are there. The clothes, the bowl, the traba. I think it's easy. I think it is, depending
So,
on what type.
okay. And we will be right back after this break.
Welcome to Sickle Cell Role Models and Mentors, the monthly health podcast that transforms patient stories into powerful inspiration. We're building a network of role models and mentors to support you in personal and career development. Join us every last Friday of the month as we share stories that inspire and empower our community. Brought to you by A&A Consulting, your trusted communications and engineering design partner. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. So, World Sickle Cell Day 2026 was last month, and the theme focused on equity in sickle cell disease care, closing the survival gap. To you, as a person living with sickle cell disease, do you think this theme is relevant?
Yes, as a person living with sickle cell disease, I think the theme is relevant. Though there are a lot of things that we could talk about concerning sickle cell, but I still think closing the survivor gap, equity in sickle cell disease is important, is relevant.
So, to you, what should equity in sickle cell care look like?
Um, I think it's relevant because I personally believe that because, for example, you are in Europe and I'm in Africa in Cameroon, you should not leave because of your geographical background. You
Mm,
should not be able to survive because of where you are. I think there should be equity. I think we should close that survivor gap. I think the access to information, access to healthcare, access to medical advancement, access to everything good should be equal. It should
mm.
not be because of a particular area and those in other areas are suffering. Like if we get to that point, we'll not hear the cries of warriors anymore. So I think that thing is very important. And to me, it means that a sickle cell patient in Europe and a sickle cell patient in Bamenda, Cameroon should live the same lives. They should have the same opportunities. They should go to the hospital and be attending to people who are that very much aware. They should be able to have drugs, the right drugs at their disposal. They should have people who have done research and makes their condition a little bit easier to live with. It should not be because I'm in zone A and somebody's in zone B that makes our chances of survival different.
Hmm.
I, I dream of a world where it will not be because everybody wants to travel and go somewhere before when you're sick, they rush with an ambulance, they come and they give you care. I mean, it's that easy to live longer in some particular places. So equity in sickle cell disease is extremely relevant. But it's as if it cannot even be achieved at this point. Maybe they would have gone for something, like one step at a time. it feels like they left from 2, 3 to 10.
Mm.
They would have taken something like one step at a time, seeing how gradually they can influence people, influence policies, and then we get to this point where we're talking about equity. Because equity, is it important? Yes, it is very relevant. But is it possible currently with the way things are in our different contexts? I doubt.
So there is a movement that is building for the way sickle cell disease is seen to be changed, the way policy leaders, nations, ministers, general audiences see or know sickle cell disease. That is for sickle cell disease to be seen not just as a condition where care is focused around pain episodes, but seen as a lifelong chronic health issue that needs consistent follow up and that affects the patients and impacts nation building. Now, what in your opinion, what kind of care would be best? And do you think it is necessary to pursue this new movement of seeing sickle cell disease as a lifelong chronic health issue, or just focus on the pain crisis?
I would. I think I'll go for seeing sickle cell disease as a lifelong chronic health challenge. Because when we focus on the pain crisis, I mean, what are we doing to prevent the pain crisis? You are just all about the crisis. You come with your VOC, you come with your ACS, you come with your this, and they try to intervene at that point. You go back, you still come back again. But when we focus, like sickle cell is a chronic, lifelong issue, we want to look at care from a holistic point of view. We want to look at care from regular checkups. You want to look at care like a patient doctor relationship, a very close therapeutic relationship where you get to know your patient, their medical history. You know that this is how sickle cell is unique to this person. Because trust me, no two sicklers are the same. If we want to just focus with the pain episodes, it will really not help anybody. But when each medical practitioner they try to understand their patient, this person has sickle cell, this has been their condition, this has sickle cell has affected them, these are the things that they can tolerate, these are the things that they can't take in their system. You will know, you start monitoring from that person's lifestyle, nutrition, everything, physical health, mental health, like it should be a holistic care. And that should come from a place of looking at sickle cell as a chronic lifelong challenge rather than just painful crisis. I think it will be better because it will help every sickler. It will reduce the number of hospitalizations. It will reduce the frequency of pain episodes because maybe your follow up, you do your tests, you know, after a particular period, you're doing this and so on, you take your vaccinations and so on and so forth. Maybe you have um, a period where you go with your family. There is a psycho education that is given to not just you, the patient, but to your caregivers. It becomes a whole process and it makes life easy for everyone. You as a patient, you are at ease, you are
Mm.
more informed, you are even happy because you see how it's going to help, and you are assured, you are trusting the person because that at least that person has an information about your health, rather than when, okay, I'm in crisis, you go in, they're asking you, what kind of drugs do you take, are you allergic to any, are you this, they give you at that moment, you go and come back, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Now, we live in a world where sadly people living with sickle cell disease are often measured by their health condition or underlooked. And we're going to start talking a bit about professional life when sickle cell disease. Have you ever witnessed a situation like that where your health gets into how you are viewed by your peers, professionally or educationally?
Okay. I think when I was much younger, in secondary school, I went through that. In secondary school, I had a medical certificate that says that no sports, no manual labor. I should not be beaten. I should not fight. So I just need to show it. When they are doing sports, I just appear in sport wear and I'm giving a mark. When they're doing manual labor, I just bring my walking tool and I'm giving a mark. If they are punishing everybody, like I need to be extremely careful not to even get in a situation because instead of punishment, I'll just go straight to dismissal. And that made it the other people were looking at me like they will not involve me in their activities. I was just a baby. I want to play. I want to do all that stuff. But then, this kind of play that you need to select your team members. Nobody will call Sonita because they know that she does not have that strength. They
Mm.
just feel like she'll just come and faint. She will not be of help in her team, those kind of stuff. And I felt so isolated back then in secondary school. I felt I did not really belong. And it was really difficult. And I could not fake to be as strong as they wanted me to be when I wasn't. When I went to high school, I remember having a crisis in class one day, and it was like it made the whole school to be aware because I was in upstate and our class was upstairs, so it really made a lot of people to see what was happening. So they took me to the hospital. The next day when I came back to school, after a while when I was coming back to school, I just entered the gate and the principal was like, "Madam, if you're sick, just go back home." I mean, I'm coming to school. You've not even heard a word from me. You've not even asked out. You just like they just look at you and they see sickness. They just look at you and they see weakness. They look at you and like this person cannot perform because you're a patient. And I know a lot of opportunities that I've also missed because of sickle cell. And so many times that I feel stigmatized because of sickle cell, isolated, placed at one corner because of sickle cell. So yes, I've had those experiences.
So, in your opinion, can stigma linked to sickle cell disease be eradicated? And if yes, how?
Yes, I think stigma can be eradicated, and that can only be done through awareness, according to me, because I feel like people stigmatize because of ignorance. They don't know a lot of things. That is why they are stigmatizing. Like if they know, if they are just aware, maybe their manner of approach with the situation would be different. A lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about sickle cell. Maybe the isolation back then in secondary school was because these people knew that sickle cell is witchcraft, it's a spiritual disease, it's contaminated. Maybe if they play with me, they'll get it. And I think all of those things can really stop when people have proper information about the disease. Like they know what sickle cell is, how it is inherited, what causes it, how it is diagnosed. Like they really know detailedly what it is and not what people say in the quarters. So stigma can be eradicated through awareness.
Now, if you were the Minister of Education in Cameroon, for example, um, would you go in for education for sickle cell disease to have a course of its own in schools as a way of making students and teachers be informed about it?
What a nice position to imagine myself in. But
I know
if
you'll be
I
very
were the
nice.
minister of Mm. So for me, I would not want to be biased, maybe because the minister and maybe a warrior myself that I want to make everything about sickle cell. Yes, I want to let the peoples, the students, the teachers be educated about what sickle cell is. But I will not want to make it like a subject on its own or a course on its own.
Mm,
Maybe I'll rather have something like health education as a subject or a course. Then in that subject we have different models, and sickle cell will be one of them. But it should be there from basics, secondary, high, and university. So that is what I would rather do.
so, if you were to, uh, you had to mentor a young man or a young woman with sickle cell disease to grow up to be an achiever like you, what areas would you focus on?
First thing first, your mindset. I'm a social worker and I've come to understand the power of the mind.
Mm,
Yes, we are sick. Yes, we have sickle cell. Yes, we can be in crisis, but our mind is more powerful. Our mind will determine how long you last to recover, how much pain you're going to feel, how much you want to continue living. There was a
mm,
time in my life that, or there are times in my life that I fought to stay alive. That's because of the power of my mind. I wanted to live. And I know people who have decided to die and they died. Yeah, I know, yeah, there is time to live, time to die. There is that appointed time. But there are times that we just decide to give up. So I always say, whenever I meet warriors, like, sickle cell is not a death sentence. Rather, we should take that as a stepping stone. We are warriors. Why? We are that resilient. We are that powerful. We are fighters. We can make it. It is our mind. I will try to talk the person, like to make the person to have a very high spirit, like a very high positive mindset, like say the power of positive thinking.
mm,
They should not think of themselves as being weak because of sickle cell. They should not look at sickle cell as the end. Like I'll try to work with them, their cognition, try to change some of those distorted thinking, like some sort of cognitive behavioral therapy also. Yeah. Because that is what will keep you going. That
mm,
is what will make you to want to leave that hospital bed. That is what will make you to want to see the bright side in the future. If you want to look at, like currently, my last hospitalization, I was told to rush to the nearest center to do a bone marrow transplant. I, I'm not, it's not as if I am being stubborn per se, but I'll say I'm being positive. The other person told me that I have, is it osteonecrosis of the my they were calling one grammar like that. I cannot really remember, and that my bones are failing. They will need to be operated. They will this, but tango is at the early stage. This, that. Somebody will take that information and sit on it, and be depressed and cry. And you know what sadness can do? Trigger a crisis. You'll be
mm,
from one stage to the other. But that is not how I received it. I'm seeing how I can improve on adhering to medication, seeing how I can do the things that will make me not to be in crisis. Because I don't even have the time to be in crisis. I have a life to live. I have responsibilities. I have things to do. And I need to be fine by all means. I must be fine. So I'll just work with that person with their mind. Do you have a passion aside from living with sickle cell? Do you have a goal in life? Do you have a purpose? Do you have a burning desire in your heart? What do you want to do? What do you want to give back? Then focus on that passion. Let that passion be the reason why you want to be well, so that you can also have this satisfactory feeling. You can also feel fulfilled as a human being. So that is what I would do with that person.
That's some very great advice there. In the coming weeks or months, you would be certainly going in for other beauty competitions. Now, what kind of assistance would you request from your audience to enable you better carry the sickle cell disease message? And what do you think um, policy makers or even patient associations can do to permit you to access that kind of assistance?
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, in some months ahead, I will be participating in Ms Global Queen International in South Africa, and sickle cell will still be my project. And I will be very grateful if we can unite, if warriors can unite, if the government policymakers can unite under one voice to see how they can um, make this sickle cell message sound louder. Just imagine having a support group that everybody shares one message, or everybody becomes an advocate. I would love the patient association, for example, the support group that I know of, to maybe leave the shyness, the stigma, all of those things behind. And like last year's team was encouraging more people to become advocates and be that advocate. Like just imagine 10 people deciding to be sickle cell advocates rather than just sitting behind and be patient and not doing anything. It will make the message louder, and it will be very, very supportive, because I can talk and I have a reference, and it will cause more attention to the policymakers to look at us.
Mm.
If these policymakers too can understand that this is something that they are seated in a very beautiful position to make things work well for this part of the society, and they keep sending, like, doing work. I was so disappointed this time last year when I was carrying a research on sickle cell. I went into an office of public health, and I was asking for a particular data, and I could not have it. They don't have the number, they don't have the statistics of the number of people who are suffering from sickle cell in the different places in Bamenda. They do not have it. Even, and that's, I mean, if those people don't have, is a really danger sign, is a red flag. Where are we going to take it from? Where we trust them to have those things so that we can use to do other things with. Now, even when you're doing a research and you need a reference book, article online, you will hardly see people who have done research on sickle cell in Cameroon. Either you'll see a few articles from Nigeria and a lot in other countries, but in Cameroon, it is limited. So if these policymakers, if these people can at least just do their work, it is their work. But maybe for some reasons, because they have never experienced sickle cell, it really does not mean anything to them, apart from the fact that they are seated in that office and they know that, okay, this is one of the chronic diseases. They don't care. Now I have to finish my research, and I need to, from there, I do a policy brief and I take to these people so that they will use, and if something touches their heart and they want to work to help the SCD community, they can use data from my studies to do that. If they can just do their work, the basic work that they are supposed to do, it will be of help. It will really help some of us who are into advocacy. It will really help some of those international organizations that sometimes want to support through local organizations to know exactly what's on the field and what they're doing. Then me as a model, advocacy model, sickle cell warrior and advocate going in for an international pageant with a sickle cell project. If we were disunited, this thing is very expensive. I will not just be doing it on my own. And they will not support as though they are supporting Tata Sonita Bonkar. They'll look at the bigger picture, like, what is she carrying?
Mm.
And they'll be able to come, everybody will jointly support under one umbrella of it is, they are looking at the benefit of it. We are exposing our worries, exposing our challenges, exposing exactly what sickle cell is, and seeing how at the end of the day, if we can eradicate it in one way or the other, or if we can make situations better, that's what they'll be supporting. But that is not the case. The unity is not there. You will notice that even among some NGOs that are there to tackle sickle cell, there is still this fight. There is still this envy. There is still this. And I'm like, what for? If truly we have a cause and it is to eradicate sickle cell, what is the need of these other things that cannot make us to work together? Last year, the regional director of public health on World Sickle Cell Day, he was like, there are a lot of sickle cell clinics in Bamenda, uh, running their own stuff to see how they can help sickle cell patients. That man was just pleading that if everybody can come together under one umbrella, it would be nicer. And I support him. But it is now a competition. Like, this clinic does it better than this, and nobody wants to come under one umbrella. And at the end of the day, we want to win a global fight. It's difficult. So moving on to the international stage, if I could have policymakers, support groups, patient associations look at why we are first of all here, why are we advocating, look at the goal, and come together under one umbrella, that would be the biggest support that I can ever ask for.
That's a very strong answer. And I also pick from there that, of course, it's not only equity in sickle cell disease care that should be looked upon, but also equity in how patient organizations work, and also equity in how resources are shared from the policymakers to the patient organizations, and also onward to the advocates, because I guess resource is also something that would be very needy or very important for the kind of work you're doing, carrying on the sickle cell
Exactly.
project, doing the research, and then
Yeah,
presenting it during an international competition.
sure. That's right. Exactly.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sonita Tata Bonkar, for accepting to be our role model and mentor for this edition of the podcast. And we wish you all the best as you go further in your projects. Wearing that crown, we'll be cheering you on. And we do hope that the entire sickle cell disease community, not only in Cameroon, but also abroad, would now be informed that they have an advocacy model whom they can partner with and work with to carry messages on sickle cell disease to international platforms like the different pageants you would be attending, but also even beyond that to events and also to conferences.
Sure.
And we hope to see more of that because we are not seeing more of that when it comes to the sickle cell sphere. And we hope that we'll see more of that and see you being that champion for the entire SCD community. So we wish you all the best. To our listeners, we would say thank you for listening. Mrs. Tata Sonita Bonkar is available if you wish to contact her. You can find her on Facebook, on Instagram, and you could just drop us a message on our platforms and we'll put you in contact with her if you need advice, mentoring, counseling, just talking to another warrior and getting to know that your life is not different or you are not alone and
All
there are
right.
other people who can just sit and talk to you because they have been there where you are and they know
Yeah.
how it feels. And so you have that sense of you belong. You are somewhere, you are not alone in the world. And even if society around you makes you feel like you're alone, but know that there are lots of people like Miss Sonita who are there who can give you a word of advice, a little tip. So thank you to listeners for being with us, and we would be seeing you for the next edition of the podcast next month. Until then, it's thank you. Take care. For you, the warriors, hydrate, 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 rest, eat well, keep safe, and remember you're still human even if you have sickle cell disease. So keep
Mm-hmm.
thriving, keep going forward and shining. Thank you
Yes.
and see you next time.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.